Let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind.
Dots that maybe shouldn't be, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point.
Hollywood, you never expected. They be having these big mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little room.
Are any of your kids thinking about show business at this point?
Not at this point. Get grown. Because it's a really short list of people that started acting when they were young that you know still around. If they're around, they're in therapy.
Eddie Murphy didn't hold back. He dropped it raw and unfiltered. No soft tones, no Hollywood gloss, no sugarcoating for the cameras. He said it straight. Some people he came up with didn't just change. They straight up sold themselves out to the whole industry. Phones started blowing up instantly. Group chats went wild. And behind those fancy locked doors in Hollywood's most secret corners, whispers turned into panic. Is he talking about me? Eddie's not out here trying to win fake love anymore. He doesn't need those shallow smiles, empty invites, or industry handshakes that vanish the second the lights go off. The man's already done it all. He's not chasing trophies or validation. He is the legacy. So when he finally decided to talk about betrayal in comedy, it wasn't random or messy. It was surgical, precise, and personal. Every word hit with purpose. For too long, silence has been the mask protecting the fakes. Eddie knows silence is what snakes hide behind. But now the king's speaking loud and the room's getting real uncomfortable because Eddie Murphy isn't just a celebrity. He's a cornerstone of the culture.
You gotta bust your black ass. You gotta be relentless. You gotta persevere. You gotta be.
He didn't just break records, he broke barriers. He turned stand-up into superstardom, kept SNL alive when it was gasping for air, and proved black comedians never had to dilute their truth just to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. That kind of legendary run gives you more than fame. It gives you vision and memory. Eddie's seen it all from the ground up, the switch-ups, the fake loyalty, the smiles in public, and the shady backroom games that come with chasing power. He watched comedians twist their whole personalities just to stay in Hollywood's good graces. He saw who traded integrity for access. While others were out here dancing for approval, Eddie kept his mouth shut, stacked quiet wins, and kept every receipt stored in his head. And let's be real, Eddie didn't need to drop names. He never said Kevin Hart directly, but everyone caught the vibe. Because when the talk turns to comedians who blew up fast, mastered the Hollywood playbook, and wore that industry mask tighter than anyone else, one name always pops up. Kevin Hart's rise was lightning in a bottle. One minute he's rocking tiny comedy stages, next thing you know, he's flying private, starring in blockbusters, and rubbing shoulders with billionaires and big shot execs. He played the part perfectly, no doubt, but that came with choices. A lot of black comedians have whispered warnings about those same choices for years. There's that line some won't cross, and yet it's treated like a secret initiation.
I think I realize what's going on here, miss. Who do you think I am, huh? Don't you think I know that if I was some hotshot from out of town that pulled
Dressing up for jokes, taking on roles that make folks uncomfortable, and doing what the industry expects just to make it. It's that humiliating rite of passage nobody talks about out loud. And remember, Kevin once said clear as day, "I would never wear a dress for comedy." Said it himself. That moment wasn't random at all, and Eddie caught it just like he catches everything else. He's always known who stood solid and who folded when the pressure hit. And let's be clear, the whole dress conversation didn't start with Kevin. Dave Chappelle cracked that door wide open back in 2006, warning everyone about the kind of behind-the-scenes pressure that pushes comedians into doing things just to stay in the system.
Benjanae is lifting her arms into her signature muscle man pose.
Motor told me about it in October. I shot it down, because that ain't how I've ever promoted a show.
Wino boss Everlast. Wino, do you have a home?
That's dumb as
Do you have a home?
I've been making money way before this.
Why aren't you answering the question?
You sound
Wino. No.
Now let's talk history. Martin Lawrence. Yeah, that Martin was right there with Eddie in the grind. Same stages, same crowds, same laughs, same golden era of comedy. Together, they built the foundation that shaped a whole generation's sense of humor. But somewhere along the line, something shifted and people noticed. When the industry started digging into Eddie's old material, trying to spin him as the problem, fans expected solidarity. They expected one legend to stand next to another. But Martin, he stayed quiet. No public backing, no words of respect, just distance. And guess what? Hollywood loved that silence. But Eddie clocked it, and when Eddie notices something like that, he never forgets. Moves like that don't disappear, they linger. And then there's Chris Rock. Yeah, we're definitely going there.
Oh, look stupid. At the end of the day, you gotta know that you're...
The two once shared real respect, real mutual love for the craft. Until that vibe started changing, insiders whisper that Eddie began to sense the shift.
Venjane is lifting her arms into her signature muscle man pose.
Chris started leaning heavy into Hollywood's elite circles, playing nice with the power players, and tossing little slick comments toward other black comedians just to keep those rooms laughing. It was all charm on the surface, but the loyalty, that started fading fast.
Man, in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'd be connecting them down like, wow, these brothers got weird dress.
When Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, the world stopped spinning for a second. It wasn't just a slap, it was a full-blown cultural earthquake. Everybody had an opinion, from the press to social media. Everyone was throwing takes like confetti. But Eddie, he stayed silent. And that silence hit louder than any statement could. According to people close to him, that quiet wasn't about support or defense. It was pure distance.
Person cannot get to sit here and talk.
Then you got the kings of comedy circle. D.L. Hewley, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, the whole crew. Let's get one thing straight. Eddie never begged for a chair at that table. He didn't need it. He built his own lane, his own empire, his own rules. But don't get it twisted. Just because he stayed separate doesn't mean there wasn't tension brewing beneath the surface.
I mean, I ain't in it. Huh? What sucks? Reaganomics sucks? Or tell us something we don't know.
Word in the industry was that some of those guys weren't too fond of how Eddie operated. He didn't kiss rings, didn't play into clique politics, and refused to follow comedy's unwritten rules. He wasn't chasing validation or approval. He was running his own game, and that rubbed certain people the wrong way fast.
That black folk fail to understand that that schools are not change agents. They're only doing what the environment wants it to do. Schools in this country started in the 1860s.
Insiders say Eddie would get invites to the big events, the award shows, the private parties, the exclusive comedy dinners, and he'd turn them down again and again. That stung because it reminded everyone that Eddie Murphy couldn't be controlled. And in this business, comedians who can't be controlled usually don't last. Unless, of course, your name is Eddie Murphy.
I seen Spike come on the show last week, and women said, "Wah!" And Spike looks like a cricket. He's a filmmaker. His movies are brilliant. He's hysterical. He's wonderful on camera. But Spike is not.
Now let's slide into the Tyler Perry part. Yeah, this is where things get touchy. Eddie's never gone public with beef. No interviews, no rants, no slick shade. But behind the scenes, whispers say there's tension. Remember that convo between DL and others when things got legal? Someone even said, we're gonna have to get our attorney involved. After that talk with Monique, it all turned serious. Lawyers came in, and the whole situation got messy fast.
Said DL, and we're gonna have to get our attorney involved. That's the last thing me and DL Hughley said on that conversation.
And after having that conversation with Monique, we went and got ours.
Eddie didn't need to say a word. His silence said it all. Oh, no. Behind the scenes, the whispers have been swirling for years. Word is, Eddie never vibed with the Tyler Perry blueprint, especially that heavy use of exaggerated characters and men in dresses humor. Critics have been side-eyeing that for a long time. Eddie reportedly felt it wasn't about pushing comedy forward. It was recycling the same tired stereotypes and wrapping them up as progress. The same thing Dave Chappelle warned about way back. Sure, Tyler Perry gets love for building opportunities and uplifting black actors. That part's real. But from Eddie's point of view, it wasn't that simple. Allegedly, he saw a system that blurred the line between empowerment and exploitation. On the outside, it looked like success. But underneath, Eddie sensed something way more complicated. And then there's Monique. Yeah, that one cuts deep. Eddie's always been about real talent, and Monique's got that in spades. But even he couldn't ignore how fast her name disappeared from Hollywood's A-list once she started speaking out about pay, power, and the way the game really works. One moment she's winning major awards, the next, boom, she's shut out, doors closed, phones quiet. When all that went down, Eddie didn't jump to her defense publicly. No interviews, no fiery posts, no big statements. But insiders say that silence wasn't cold, it was calculated. Like Eddie already knew who was pulling strings behind the scenes, who smiled for cameras but moved shady in private. He's been in the business long enough to know when speaking up could do more harm than good. Sometimes staying quiet isn't weakness, it's strategy. And if we're talking about betrayal in Eddie's world, then we can't skip the next name, Arsenio Hall. That chapter adds a whole new layer to the story. That was Eddie's brother in the game. Day one, ride or die status. Eddie and Arsenio weren't just friends. They were family in every sense that mattered. Their bond helped shape late-night TV forever. But even that solid foundation started to show cracks over time. When the Arsenio Hall show got canceled back in the 90s, the rumors went crazy. Word spread that the cancellation had less to do with ratings and more to do with the guests Arsenio wouldn't book. Powerful political figures, big industry names, and the kind of untouchables you were supposed to keep happy. Eddie was reportedly furious, not at Arsenio, but at the machine behind it all. He was mad at how quickly they could shut a brother down just for refusing to play their game. Still, that anger didn't just disappear. Insiders say the frustration bled into their friendship, and after that moment, things were never quite the same again. It wasn't hate, it was disappointment. Eddie saw firsthand how loyalty gets tested when power starts making the rules. So why is Eddie speaking now? Because he's done with the fake energy. He's sick of comedians preaching realness while secretly cutting slick side deals for streaming money. He's tired of those plastic smiles and behind-the-scenes sellouts. And he's especially done watching people trade away pieces of themselves just to stay trending in a town that only loves you when you're useful. This isn't bitterness, it's exposure. Eddie's pulling back the curtain and revealing the blueprint that Hollywood never wanted him to talk about. They want him to play the safe version, the lovable uncle, the clean-cut comeback story who tells harmless jokes and never rocks the boat. But here's what they forgot, and it's too late to undo it now. Eddie Murphy built this house, and now he's reminding everyone exactly who owns the keys. He's ripping up the floorboards and letting the truth breathe. And here's the wild part. Some of the very same comedians Eddie's been subtly calling out are still out here smiling in his face, sending invites, tagging him in pictures, acting like nothing ever happened, pretending loyalty, pretending history didn't leave receipts, pretending nobody remembers the switch up. Yeah, it's giving major fake vibes. Will Eddie ever start dropping names outright? Maybe not. And honestly, he doesn't have to. If you've been around this game long enough, you already know exactly who he's talking about. And if that shoe fits, best believe it's already laced tight. This isn't about chasing clout or stirring gossip. It's about legacy. Eddie's seen the whole cycle play out. Comedians rise fast, crash even faster. He's watched folks trade their integrity for sitcom deals and flashy checks. He's seen others bite the bait, only to get burned when the cameras stop rolling. He's watched the same studios that once begged him for hits suddenly act like they don't owe him the history he built. But now, Eddie's done staying quiet. When a real legend starts speaking truth, the entire industry starts to shake. The rooms get tense, the smiles fade, and the masks start slipping. Because Eddie Murphy isn't just telling stories. He's rewriting the script on how this game really works. So grab your popcorn, this story's just getting started. If Eddie ever decides to spill everything, Hollywood's gonna need a whole new PR team just to survive the fallout. If you're rocking with this breakdown, hit that like, share, and subscribe to Public Secrets for more real talk, raw truth, and stories they don't want you to hear.